Welcome to the Your Talent Matters podcast, where we delve into the world of human resources and employee benefits in Canada. Join hosts Mehdi Rahman, a strategic human resources consultant, and Nick Godfrey, a seasoned employee benefits advisor, as they explore the many challenges that businesses face in attracting, developing, and engaging top talent. So sit back, relax, and learn from the experts on how your talent matters when it comes to growing a business.
Hi, my name's Nick Godfrey, and welcome to Your Talent Matters. I'm an employee benefits specialist located in Oakville, Ontario, Canada. I help employers build and design benefit plans so that they'll attract and retain great employees. And I'm here today with my partner and friend, Mehdi Rahman.
Well, yeah, my name is Mehdi Rahman. Everyone calls me Mehdi. And I've been in human resources the last 25 years, working for some of the most iconic organizations and organizations that do some pretty impressive things with $0 budgets that truly do inspire and engage employees and drive profitable businesses. So pretty excited to talk about today's topic specifically around engagement.
Yes. So the question is, what's the question again? Do employees need to be engaged? Is that what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, the whole topic of engagement, it's a broad topic. And there's almost, it's like this mythical creature sometimes. I think people, talk about, like, does it exist? Have I ever experienced an employee that's truly engaged? And like, how does it look like, and how does it feel, and what could I do to get my people to be this version of engaged?
Well,
Yeah.
you're right. I think I start to think, well, what's it mean? What is engagement? Because let's face it, we hired you, Mr. and Mrs. Employee, or Mrs. or whatever, and you're to do the job. And here's the job, and we hope you're engaged in doing the job. But like, what do you do over and above the engaged, that sort of side? Is
Well,
that
yeah,
what we're talking about?
yeah. I mean, so right there, what you just did there, I mean, I think is common, and that's what everyone does. They say that I put a posting up, the person responded to the posting, I gave them a job, I pay them every 2 weeks or once a month, and they should do the job. That is effort. Let's call that effort, right? And that's like a baseline of effort. There's this place of discretionary effort where someone says, I'm going to go and I'm going to deliver that every customer, every time, every person, every time, every project, every single time. I'm going to go above and beyond. It's discretionary effort. That's what I would define as engagement. It's like people willing to go above and beyond. How does that look like in our normal day to day? It looks like when I go to Tim Hortons or McDonald's and someone runs across drive-through to give me my drink, and then they notice that there's a drop on the side of the cup, and then they wipe it down and they give me a napkin, right? That's discretionary effort. Discretionary effort is, if I'm in an office and there's a piece of garbage or a piece of paper on the floor, that the person's actually going to kneel down and pick it up versus like walk by it, right? That's discretionary effort. The discretionary effort, could be, I'm going to call one extra stakeholder and make sure that I got a great point of view before I hand this report in. So discretionary effort is engagement. It's people wanting to do whatever it takes for the work. I'm not saying above and beyond. They're just doing whatever it takes to do the job in its perfection, in its entirety. And that is, I don't think, that's purposeful. A lot of employers have to be purposeful for that.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about that, like, I do it when I am out walking and I see garbage, I pick it up, and that's just kind of the guy I am. My dad taught me that, right? So you don't fire your garbage out the window when you're driving around. You pick it up when you see it floating around. And you can do that in the office place too. If there's just something that will make the whole place better for everyone, why not do that? Why not?
I mean,
that
yeah,
effort?
but you said something important there. It's the expectation that was set by someone in your life around being a good citizen in the neighborhood, right? In an organization, a lot of managers and a lot of owners, business owners that we've worked with, they just expect it. They just expect that the employee is going to see garbage and they're going to pick it up. You know, at Walt Disney, which is they do amazing management practices, have amazing management practices. They talk about crystal clear expectations, not only expectations that are verbally spoken or written or given on a document, but they are actually like a manager or a leader gets down and they show a person how to pick up a piece of garbage, right? It's like crystal clear expectations. And I think, if we're talking about $0 budgeting and what can I do today to try to create any more engaged workforce? It's starting by giving crystal clear expectations of what's expected of this person, what utopia looks like. It looks like a customer leaving through drive-through happy that they got all their order in less than 90 seconds or 120 seconds, right? And being that prescriptive at the beginning with expectations.
And who's who's doing that? Who's is it is it is it is it leadership, management, or like who's creating the map and creating the menu of things that say, here are all the things that are part of your job description? Is that where it is? It's part of training.
Yeah. So there's like, as an HR practitioner, and I've taught this class also at colleges. Chapter 2 of every single HR book has this idea of job analysis is a cornerstone of HR. Understanding what people should be doing is really the gateway to this. And so it starts with a job description. It starts with, putting together and organizing what are their key responsibilities, tasks, what are key decisions, key partners this person would be working with, and creating these clear expectations of what's expected of this person. A simple way to do that, if you don't have the time or the energy to do that and you don't want to, is asking like, well, I work with Nick. What are the 3 things I expect of him, at this time, or by the end of the year, success would look like if me and Nick accomplished X, Y, Z, or if Nick accomplished X, Y, Z. Just as simple as statement as that, right? And then Nick saying that to my partners and saying, hey Nick, by the end of the year, we would love to do 9 podcasts with high quality and engaging topics with a variety of folks, right? That is starting to be the beginnings of an expectation. It does start with the person's line manager, the person that they report to, right? It also, works with the people that they work across the organization with. They could be cross-functionally, there could be other people that they work with on the line. But all these folks create a culture of expectations and a culture of accountability. Or you could substitute the word of accountability with a culture of responsibility, where everybody knows what they're responsible for.
That, because this comes back to my clients as well, and the smaller business side of things, and the HR part of it is you want to know that it's documented. So whether it's in the employment contract, or whether it's in the employee handbook, or it needs to be somewhere, and I think it needs to be really clear, because otherwise, because I'm always, I'm in the risk business, so I'm always worried about the hidden liabilities. And somebody says, well, you never told me that. And or because it always gets messy. You want them to be engaged, you want them to help to grow the business, but it doesn't always work. And maybe you got to let somebody go, and then they're going to go, well, you didn't communicate that very well, and I'm
Yeah. Oh, it
suing, and you're getting a
happens.
letter from the lawyer, and now it's a mess. So we do want to make sure that that it's properly communicated. How do you do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, and I've worked with hundreds and thousands of managers, and they're like, Mehdi, like, what are you expecting me to do? Like, write this down every single time. And I think it's a combination of things. I think it's a combination of real time, I'll call it real time and plan timed coaching. Plan timed coaching is like disciplined, sitting down formally, formally in the sense that, like, we have a scheduled one-on-one. We maybe have a template or a discussion. We might have a OneNote or some sort of like shared document that we use to share expectations of each other, right? Some organizations, this is what they use their annual performance evaluation for, and then they have a document that, managers and employees set for themselves in terms of, this is what I was expected to do and what I wanted to do this year. This is what I actually accomplished. This is the variance and how I want to deal with it. So performance evaluations are one way to keep track of that. Notes are another way to keep track of it. When in retail, in a lot of places where, you just don't have the time and luxury to be able to do that, we would ask managers just to keep a hand, like a notebook. And if I talk to Nick right now, oh, Nick, great, great thoughts, right? Like, so what's expected of you? What are you committing to? Okay, let me write it down. Let me write the date. And all those things could help with creating these clear expectations for folks, and at one point in time, if there is someone's performance is at risk or someone's job is at risk, you could easily refer back and say, hey, Nick, we met a couple times. Remember, I met you at the cash register, and here's my notes. I think it was around January 15th, and on this day I spoke to you about this. And when we hired you, I spoke to you and I saw you, looked you into the eyes, and talked about the importance of, and this creates a story. And at one point in time, like, it's just, you can't deny the expectations that have been set for you, right? And I expect employees to do the same, right? Stay organized, and commit to things and deliver on those things as well. So I think it's two-way communication through real time and plan time communication, and keeping some sort of note system around that.
Well,
And
yeah, because it's these evaluations, it's still going around in my head, because you got to be measured against something, right? So you need your notes, but you also, the person needs to, because I remember that in one of my first jobs, it's like there wasn't a great amount of feedback. I was working in Western Canada. I was on my own. My manager was in Ontario, and I was just kind of, am I doing a good job? Am I meeting
what
expectations? Like, what's going
and
on?
and that basic question, that is the beginning of engagement. By default, we as leaders and managers, HR professionals, we all have to expect that every employee is asking that question. Am I doing a good job? And in the absence of fact, in the absence of me actually telling that employee, they've created a narrative in their mind, and we have to, it's sometimes too late for us to redirect that narrative, right? So having these regular meetings is important. At McDonald's, one of the things that we were proud of is that employees would get at least twice a year that a clear answer on that question. Am I doing a good job? Yes or no? Yeah, you've been a great person that's been making French fries, right? At McDonald's, like, that's what we would do. And I remember, being at 16 years old, having a one-on-one with my manager, and them just saying, you're doing a great job. Like, I appreciate, you doing this for your teamwork and this and whatever. And that was an expectation. That's part of the reason why, you have these, machines, these organizations operate as machines, because they're doing some of the fundamental things, and they know that their employees are asking that one specific question. Am I doing a good job?
Well, it's key, because the last thing
Yeah.
you really want is to be out there wondering whether you're doing a good job or not. And then all of a sudden it comes back and bites you on the rear end, because they're going, see ya. And
Yeah.
you're going to go, well, wait a second, this doesn't seem fair or right. So,
Yeah. And that, again, now that those are the bare minimums. Now let's talk about from an engagement perspective. If I did that, and I started to, really give employees a reason to come to work. Like, what? At McDonald's, we serve 1,000 customers a day. We feed 1,000 people a day. Thank you so much for the work that you do,
yeah.
right? In this office, this report that you hand in, or this compliance that you training that you do, this is part of mitigating risks so that we could save more money and we could put it into employee programs. Like, thank you so much for doing this. Or, you putting the screw into this widget is so important, because that widget then goes out to the world and helps with, safety and security or whatever it is. But connecting the dots and giving people a reason of why their job matter, why their work matters, I think that would be a close second in terms of creating an engaging environment, not just an environment of effort, an environment of, like, compliance and getting things done, but of discretionary effort where people will go above and beyond, or even just whatever it takes to do the job right. That's, I think, the second step or second thing I would really emphasize.
So now you're the employer and you're thinking about engagement and am I doing a good job engaging my employees? And you just want to you want to be self-reflective. You want to ask yourself a few questions about, how am I doing? I mean, do you
Yeah,
ask your employees how you're doing, or do you start to think about what, others around you, or are there just a couple of kind of basic questions you can ask yourself to say, okay, let's, how am I doing on the engagement end of the spectrum?
yeah.
So
I think that there's a couple key things to do around this. A very, again, simple but requires some discipline. I think that there's this almost like a coaching model, creating a basic coaching model, the questions that I would ask myself is, as relates to Nick's experience, have I given him clear expectations? Have I provided him tools and resources or training to do what I expect of him? Have I asked him if he has experienced any obstacles doing what is expected of him? And then have I rewarded him? Like, just giving him a high five, right? And just saying, great job, man. Like, I love what you did with that last customer, or with that last file, or that last, whatever it is. But, just giving them that, or just saying, hey, Nick, I saw that and I noticed you didn't do this, this, and this. Can you tell me, like, how can I help you? Is that a barrier? Is that a tool that you need? Is it training? Like, and just having the conversation. And so I think, those are some of the things that you could do, and some questions that you could ask about each individual employee about their experience. And if you can answer that question right away, you're not in an environment of engagement, you're in an environment of compliance, right? And you're probably not getting the best out of that individual out there. There's a
it's
great book. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say there's some great research out of Gallup, where uh, they have like 12, the Gallup 12 engagement questions. Do they have a best friend at work? Have they gotten feedback in the last 6 months? Have they, looked at their, have they gotten you know, uh, have they gotten the tools and equipment to do their job? Like, all those things are questions. There's 12 questions that you can go through there. And, organizations like Best Buy and Home Depot, they use those like religiously to manage their employees.
I remember, and I think it's called the 1 Minute Manager.
That's
It's
another great book. Yeah, another great
yeah,
book.
and
Yeah.
I remember the one thing, because we always seem to find that we're getting criticized for maybe not doing something right. And his message, I seem to recall in that book, was, catch people doing things right,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then praise them. And
Yeah.
so you have to do that in your mindset. You got to keep going around. I guess it's, not to it's being a bit of a cheerleader, but yeah, you should be a bit of a cheerleader, right?
Absolutely. Like, I mean, it's a culture of appreciation, right? Like, we spend 44 hours on average in these places, maybe even more. And, am I valued here, right?
Yeah.
Has anyone talked about my progress and where I'm going? Like, eh, we're humans. We want to be part of communities, right? And and when we can kind of create an environment of appreciation, a community of people that are going to support each other, give clear expectations. I mean, that's where, like, really, like, magic happens. You will have organizations that just start catapulting on service levels, on delivery, on quality. Like, all the metrics will start showing not just incremental, but like, multiplied outcomes. And it's
Exponential.
exponential. That's the word. Yeah, there you go. That's why I got you. But it's magical. Like, it
Yeah.
truly is magical. And when you see it, like, I mean, I've seen it when really poor performing teams or individuals get into, like, right, a lot of people are talking about being their authentic selves. when people are allowed to be their authentic selves at work and build magical things, whoa, it's like it truly is like amazing. And you create works of astounding beauty, right? And I'm talking about like places like, as weird as it's going to sound, like at McDonald's, uh, creating works of astounding beauty is like a restaurant that's like immaculate and run well, and employees are happy and coming to work on time and staying longer and helping out, and drive through seconds or not, service levels or 90 seconds. Like that's impressive for
Yeah.
like a $4 million box, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
And
so
that they can do it across the world
yeah,
is
every
yeah. So
and I think there's another thing that we could do, and I really do love the idea of measurement. Where asking employees, anonymously, how are we doing, right?
yeah.
And getting feedback that way. Some people that may not be able to afford survey tools, they might do skip level meetings where you may report to me, but I report to my boss, and my boss might then say, "Hey Nick, I just wanted to like catch you and a bunch of employees and talk about Mehdi, and like let's see how he's doing as your employer and as your manager, and are you having a good experience?" And some senior level managers do that. I think that there's some amazing case studies with believe it was Verizon, with some amazing listening campaigns where they had executives just go around the country listening to their employees, and the company just catapulted in results, and in delivery, and just changing customer service. And it's as simple as just listening campaigns.
Well, the people on the front line know what's going on, and
Mm.
they, sometimes it's like that game of telephone. You've got too many people in the line, so the first person is telling the story when it gets to the end. So let's cut those people out of the middle, and let's get the
Yeah,
truth. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
yeah,
So engagement to me, I mean, this is uh we're investing so much in these employees. How do I get the most out of it? And it sounds exploitative. I'm not trying to do that. But people, again, they wake up every morning, they say, I want to do a good job, I want to be successful today, I love communication, I want to be involved, right, in the work that I do. These are some basics.
I think that's true. I think that's what people want, but they're not always getting it.
No.
So you're right. I mean, and that's where I think some employers need to look at themselves. Have a look in the mirror and kind of going, are we doing as good a job in that area? And if we're not, maybe we need some outside help.
Yeah, maybe it needs outside help, or maybe it just needs like me making a declaration statement. One organization I had, when we had an employee engagement survey or any sort of feedback, we would post it, and then we would write beside it, and what are we doing about it as a leadership team, right? Wow, thank you for this feedback, or we thank this customer for this feedback, or we've just finished the engagement survey. These are the 3 themes that we heard, and based on that, this is what we'll be doing. A statement like that
Yeah,
makes people feel heard, and then they're like, oh, I'll do something about that.
excellent. Yeah, that they're actually listening and they're taking action. So
uh,
then that makes people feel valued.
yeah. And so like I always think of things like in terms of like, if I was a leader of an organization or owner of an organization, what do? I give people the purpose of why they're here, and be very clear about, like, give them a reason why their effort makes a difference in the community and our organization, amongst our customers. If I was a manager, I'd be very clear about my expectations that I set for my employee, give them the training and tools to be able to do the job, remove obstacles, and then provide feedback, or coaching or rewards. And then if I'm an individual, I think it's being a part of a culture of shared responsibility, shared accountability. So being clear about, like noticing that Nick's not doing the job right, well, showing them how to do it and
Yeah.
helping them perform, right? And celebrating, things together. And so, we could all help each other in making really engaged environments.
Yes. And it's something that's learned and it's something that's taught.
And conditioned. Like it's an effort. Like I need to be purposeful. I need to think about, I want highly engaged employees. I want, when people work with me, I want them to feel that this is the best time in their career. My time with Nick was so good. He taught me so much, and he was like, fair and compassionate, and gave a culture of accountability. I liked it, like that,
Well,
a legacy that way, right?
and you want your customers to have that experience, because I know I get off the phone with, it could be just be, some issue with some software, but I'm dealing with the customer service representative, and at the end you kind of go, how was that? You go, oh, well, that was a really good experience. And then you get to rate them, and then they feel good and I feel good, and it all worked out. So
Absolutely. And like the multiplier effect of that, like you had a good day, you're going to treat your people, like your family better, and then the community better, and things like that. That person's
that's
going
the
to go
truth.
home, and they're going to treat others better. And it's just, this is how we make, this is the best place to live as well, right? So
Yeah.
uh,
That,
all
that's
through discretionary effort.
that's the yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's the truth. It was funny. I was just listening to a video about a guy having a bad day at home and then showing up at work. And how do you think it's going to go at work if he started his day badly at home? And then it's the same thing. At the end of the day, if they've had a good day, then they're going to come home and it's going to be a good evening with the family. So yeah, it's all connected. It's
All
hard to
interconnected.
divorce yourself from your, clearly, we all know this. Divorce
And
yourself from your job and your home environment. It doesn't happen.
it's impossible now. It's integrated. It's
Yeah.
at one point in time you could separate the two. You could be like a work self,
No.
and now it's like even more complex. And authenticity is so important that not only how do you show up digitally, like on your avatar and like on LinkedIn, but how you show up in real life at home, and then how you show up amongst your friends and at work. Like all these people all have to be congruent, and that's called authenticity. When people are inauthentic, and there's like different people showing up to different places, that's when credibility is lost, and there's or trust is lost, and you're not getting the best out of all the relationships that you have there. So, and that's a different topic.
It's a good one though, because it's a word
It's a good.
everyone's using, and I love the way you explained it, because I think that's absolutely true. You got to be yourself through it all. So
Absolutely, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, and that's important. Um, I think that's great for our third episode. What do you think, Mehdi?
I think so. I mean, I hope, I believe we're adding value, and for the subscribers that are out there, if you have any feedback or notes or anything that you'd like to discuss, let us know. We'd love to do the research and give you some tips and tricks on how to make your place the employer of choice, and have high performance, and make lots of money maybe along the way. So yeah, we'd love to be a part of it. But thanks, Nick, so much for creating a good space for us. And I'm
Excellent.
looking forward to next
Yeah,
week.
good. Let's make it happen. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Your Talent Matters podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with others. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. For more information or to connect with your hosts, you can visit their website, yourtalentmatters.ca. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.